So welcome to the Kindness Podcast Live. I am so thrilled to have Sam Bregman with me today. And hi, Sam. He says, I look like a lumberjack. No, you don't. You look fantastic.
Oh no, I mean that in a good way today. That's the look I'm going with. But important thing is to be here.
As I was looking at some of your, when you Google your name and you come up with all this old stuff, there was something that was talking about how they called you the hip rabbi from Hillel. And
you went back. That's a 2003 article.
It is. It's from a long time ago. I was having a lot of fun creeping on you, but
okay.
I should tell everybody who you are because everyone should know. But if they don't, Sam, you are a person to me who has more hours in the day than everybody else. And somehow along the way, you've become like one of the top Jewish personalities in the world. You've written a best-selling book. You are a rabbi. You're a Torah scholar, a lawyer. You run a media group. Is it Tribe Media?
Alpha Tribe Media. That's right.
Yeah, that was the word I was forgetting in there.
It's okay.
Yeah,
as long as you remember me, we're good.
Yeah, well, you are so memorable, and you are constantly bringing light into the world and kindness in the world, which is why I wanted to talk with you today. So thank you.
Thank you for the warm introduction. If I'm ever feeling low, I'm going to play that back a few times. Thank you.
Right. Here's what Nicole had to say about me. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Every day I'm going to put it on my alarm clock. But anyway, I'm here. I'm happy to give and share anything I can.
Well, here's what I'm curious about, first of all. And when I say it seems like you have more hours in the day, sometimes that really stops us from kindness. And so I want to even take it a step. Ooh, what is that noise?
What do you mean?
Can you hear that?
No. What do you hear?
I hear people.
Maybe they're down the hall. They're not me.
That's so bizarre. Okay, well, that's fun. They wanted to join in the conversation. So, hey, welcome to the conversation. I don't know. I'm hearing somebody somewhere. It's like the old phone line, the party line where you were on the phone and then somebody else was on the phone too. Did you ever have those?
Yeah. We're of the same. We're born around the same time. I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So carrying on. So what I'm interested in is how you can be 43 years old. And I got you by a few years. And how you can be, Sam, you are a husband and a father of two. And somewhere along the way, you became this Torah scholar. You speak multiple languages. You're a rabbi, lawyer, and run this media group. So fill me in on a quick timeline there, would you?
Sure. Okay, so I was born in 1977. By the time I went to college in 1995, I knew I was either going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I just had to decide which one to sort of do. And I'm a big believer, because I just want to share information that can help, maybe people. We all have the same number of hours in the day. It just, some of us have our foot on the gas pedal, all the way down to squeeze as much juice as we can out of the day. And some of us less so, and some of us have a very laissez-faire attitude as we go about the day. So yeah, I went to, a top 25 college and a top 25 law school, and I did both of those in the, 4 years and 3 years respectively. But there's still so much time in the day. So even when I was a full-time, college student at Emory University in Atlanta, I was still, I only needed 3 or 4 hours a day to, do my work in political science and biology and chemistry and orgo and calc and whatever else. So there's so much time in the day. So I pretty much taught myself Hebrew, Aramaic, the Talmud, and I probably studied Torah towards my future, rabbinic ordination, maybe 10 hours a day in college. So I did that, but now I'm up to 14 hours a day. So fine, you eat, and talk to friends. It's 2-3 hours a day, but there's so much time in the day. So I basically have always had that kind of attitude. How can I sort of do more, squeeze in more? I always have been that way. Nobody gets more time or less in a 24-hour day than anybody else. You can be more organized. You can delegate more. You can try to focus on the highest value activities that can move the needle in your life or somebody else's the most, but you can't do everything. A good analogy, it's sort of like being at let's say you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? So I like to eat. I have a big appetite. Um, so in theory, those are really appealing. Like if I'd show up at one, because it's like I could eat everything here, but you got one stomach, like you have one day, and what are you going to fill it up with? So I'm not going to fill it up with salad. Like that's easy for, come on, I could eat that another time, sushi, maybe steak, maybe, like you have to make choices because you cannot do everything. So how do you do the most? So the short nugget I would say is that I've always tried to sequence my days and life in a strategic way to move the needle the most and pack in the most possible. So that's sort of the shortest answer I could give you. Even after, we have our little session now, then I'm going to run back. I'm in an office and then I'm going to run back home. I'm going to walk, but I already know 3 calls and 2 voice notes to 5 different people that I'm going to make in that period of time. So part of it's being organized, but the rest of it, we'll have to spend a day together and you could see if you could figure me out better.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that
Yeah.
because a lot of times I feel like it's the hurry that stalls the kindness in our lives. So how do you make space for kindness and to be able to see and love people around you well, because you do?
Sure. So thank you for saying that. So I would say there's 2 pieces. Sometimes it has to be scheduled. Within the Jewish tradition and belief system, kindness, it's not just this like nice extra virtue. It's an actual religious obligation that we believe our Creator wants us to be involved with. And that it's not just for the beneficiary that we're for him or for her or for them, but it's almost like spiritual nutrition for us as well. So the same way that you would schedule in anything else, I already worked out for 2 hours this morning and everything else, it's worthwhile to pencil into your day or type it in, however you do it, opportunities to give to others, to benefit others, to think of people that are lonely, so on and so forth. So part of it is, I think, it's sort of proactive planning. And it doesn't have to be deep or complicated. The second concept I would say that informs my daily approach is it's not always the quantity of time, it's the focus of the focus of the heart and the intention when you're doing it that makes the impact. Meaning, like let's say the sun is I'm in Miami Beach right now. The sun is shining outside. Let's say it's 84 degrees, but nothing on the ground is baking or cooking and no fires are starting from it, right? But we all know that analogy that if you take a magnifying glass and it's hot enough, and I would sort of focus, maybe I could, make a little fire or smoke or something like that, right? So and that could just happen in a minute, right? Even though the sun's shining for, 16 hours. So the same way, when you could be with people, but not really be there. Conversely, the Torah says you can create a lot of heat in a relationship by being really focused in and locked in a short amount of time. So, you could be kind to somebody in an interaction, in a supermarket, in an elevator, with a text message, a voice note, but you have to be completely present in the moment when you do so. The Talmud speaks about that. Imani kan kol kan. One of the sages in the Talmud says, if I'm there, all of me is there, meaning it's being completely present. So I don't think being busy is a contradiction to it, but you have to make sure that it's not just a superfluous, little passing exchange, but you have to be present and put the heart, like to breathe into it when you do it. So I would say those are probably 2 good strategies.
I just feel like that is a whole little box of chocolates that you just presented. And I'm like, oh, I want this one and I want this one and this one. And Lisa Hunter, I think, agrees with me. She is watching right now. She said spiritual nutrition. I love that. Yeah.
You're welcome, Lisa. Enjoy. Eat well.
Exactly. So talk about growing up in a culture that fostered this. What did that look like for you? Where did those first lessons come from?
Sure. I mean, so my parents are really kind, nice, sweet people. My father is mostly retired, a medical doctor, geriatric specialist. So his entire day and into the wee hours and then resuming in the wee hours of the night for most of my childhood was always taking care of people and patients and giving and care and being on call. And taking care of patients in nursing homes and hospitals in his practice, mostly the elderly. My mom is a super big do-gooder and good doer in her own right. She basically was a full-time mom while my sister and I were being raised and growing up. But she was, completely invested in that, but always, doing good. So I think parents give a lot of vibes to their children about the importance of other people and how we interact with them, not just through what we do, but also the things that are unspoken. I heard from 1,000 people in my life that my father, with his patience, was always loved for his bedside manner, or examining things. But in the world of managed care, when you get paid per body, so on and so forth, people sometimes said my dad should go faster, because that way he could make more money. But my father was really putting his heart into each patient always, and to make them feel a certain way, make them feel understood, make them feel heard, so on and so forth. Not that they're being rushed through the medical kind of machine. And I could give many other examples, but I think that kind of thing you observe and you sense in your parents, it's not that worrying about other people or whatnot. It's a box to check. It's like must call my folks today, for a minute to say hi. It's like, yeah, mom. Hey, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, you good? Okay, love you. Yeah, thinking of you. Bye. It's like, you're supposed to put your heart into the thing. So
Yeah.
I think that was the example I sort of had growing up. And I hope that I should be able to, emulate and live up to what I've seen growing up.
Well, and I've heard that before, that kindness is really caught more than taught a lot of times. So,
that's a good line. I should say
yeah.
it.
Yep, you can have it, because mine, I got it from somebody else. Caught, not taught.
Yeah.
I need to back up for a second, though, because I got all caught up in your box of chocolates and all of this, these nuggets you were giving me.
Okay.
Practical application for that in your home with your wife. What does it look like?
Sure. So I believe that a husband should try to make his wife's life as best as you can, and help as much as you can.
Hold on, I need to go get my husband really quickly. He's going to want to hear this part.
he's practicing free throws, but call him in.
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer that there's tons of opportunities to help and give, and it just requires sometimes slowing down for a moment, and you could help somebody and make life easier. Like, this morning, it occurred to me, I said, okay, wait a minute. If I'm going to go for a run, in Miami Beach early, I see there's laundry that needs to be done. If I would just throw it in now, I can knock out 2 miles, by the time the cycle, finishes. And then I could throw it in the dryer if I choose to go out to work, or work out, or go shower and eat breakfast. And it's like not that hard. I think there's a lot of opportunities to make somebody's life easier. But I think in the thinking about it, we become sort of like slowed down. We don't realize how fast it would take. Like, let's say there's some dishes in the sink, right? It's like sometimes like, should I wash them? Should I not? Should I? Da-da-da. It's like just put on the water, grab the sponge. Like the whole darn thing could be done in like 38 seconds, and just sitting over there on the drying rack already, instead of you like back and forth, like, it's like some Supreme Court debate. So, so I think sometimes it just, if the idea comes to you, to make somebody's life better or easier, you could sort of do it in a way that's not, in a marriage, in a home, like you could do it, but it's like, it doesn't have to be so like complicated or overthought. But also it's a lot easier to do if you're organized. So when I was in the office last night until 11 at night, right? But on the way, I texted my wife. I knew she was up, 10:55, and I said, "Hey, am I right that we're almost out of pull-ups, for one of the kids or something?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Consider it done." Like, I knew I was going to pass Walgreens, the drugstore, and it cost me nothing to go in and just grab a pack. It's literally 94 seconds at 11 at night. There's like nobody there. But so part of it's also being organized. If you're not a hyper organized person, and your own affairs are a mess and chaotic, it's a lot harder to find time for somebody else because you yourself are barely afloat. Mm-hmm. So I think that was some of my domestic strategy, but you're going to have my wife on sometime if you really want to know if I'm doing a good job or not.
Right. And some people, their love language is quality time. My love language is acts of service. So for me, when my husband does the dishes, when he takes out the garbage, when he does whatever, I'm like, oh, that was so sweet. I just feel this great rush of gratitude toward him. So
yeah. So that's what it is. But it's not that hard in many cases. But you also have to stay organized. That's the thread through everything I said about, well, I know that this is going to take this many minutes and this many miles and so on and so forth. It's if you're organized, it's a lot easier. But if you could barely, make it to work in time and you can barely, shower, brush your teeth and floss, it's a lot harder. There's not much left over, to help the next person.
Yeah. I like to keep lists of everything. So if I'm in the middle of thinking or doing something and then something pops into my brain, I'm writing it down so that I can continue carrying on with what I'm doing and not lose it, lose that thought. So I don't know.
I'm the same, Nicole.
Are you? It doesn't sound like you ever lose a thought, man.
No, but I record everything. I write everything down. I have tons and tons and tons of lists on lists on lists on lists. Professional, personal, business, ideas for clients. I'd be in trouble without being hyper organized.
Yeah.
It's like I would just say this. It's hard to go fast in life. It's like, let's say you're on the highway. I don't know. You're in South Dakota, right?
Yeah, you can drive as fast as you want.
Yeah, so I don't know what the speed limit is there, but like, let's say in Miami, let's say the highway's 55 or 65 or 70 or whatever it would be. Like it's okay to accelerate and go faster, but you have to have your hands firmly on the wheel. Right. It's not cool to not have complete grasp of the machinery, in your dominion, and then you're seeking to add acceleration to it. So, right. That's why I'm a list guy.
Hey, let's talk, instead of kindness, let's talk about the haters. It's the flip side, really, and I would imagine just because of the world that we live in, that being a rabbi isn't always celebrated.
That's right.
And so I'm wondering, with whether it's that or in any other aspect of your life, if you're on social media, you're going to have some haters. So how do you deal with that?
Sure. So I have very thick skin that I've developed over time, like an old beat up catcher's mitt, right? Like that's my skin. It might look, okay, but I'm telling you, I'm made of the same thing as an old catcher's mitt. I think a person needs to understand that there is nobody in this world who is for everybody. And there is no person, as far as I could tell, that has been universally liked or loved or admired, and we could literally go back and forth. You would say, what about Moses? No, I could literally show you passages in the Bible. People didn't listen to him and accused him of terrible things, right? What about this person? What about Abraham Lincoln? What about JFK? Like, I mean, Mother Teresa, like whomever you want to mention. There's no person who's been universally liked or loved or admired, as far as I could tell, in world history. So there is nothing you can do, and there's nobody you could be. There's nobody you could pretend to be. There's no persona you could take on that I've ever heard of where you will get, 100% approval rating and only love and affection and adoration. It's just not possible.
Right.
We're in about a month, a presidential election. Someone is going to be the next president of the United States, a new one, or the same one again, but with about 50% of the country wanting that person, approximately, and 50% hating their guts, right?
Right. So, there's no middle ground.
And there's like hundreds of millions of people, on both sides. Yeah. So I understand that very well, that nobody is for everybody. So number one, I just try to find my tribe with a lowercase t and just be me and just try to do me. And there's got to be a million people out there that like you, believe in you, will vibe with you and understand you, where you're coming from, like if you are sincere and you're being real. So That's number one. Number two, we live in a world with like social media with Facebook and Instagram and everything else. If you don't like somebody or you don't like what they're saying, you could delete them, you could hide their post, or you could block them, literally. And you never have to hear from them again. So that's, I would say that's number two. Number three, I would tell you that I like people, and, look, I'm normal. If I say something or teach something or post something or write something or do something, I would rather people like it, approve of it, give positive feedback. Like, I don't know anybody who would prefer to be disliked than liked. I don't know somebody who, like, I mean, it's a normal human, like ingrained in our DNA or whatever, like to want that. But my self-esteem is not predicated on the next person liking me or the next 1,000 or the next million. I won't say I don't care, because life is easier if people like you. Life flows better. There's more social lubrication if people like you, enjoy you, respond to you. It's easier to build self-esteem when you're getting positive. But my feelings about myself, who I am, what I do, my value, it's not predicated on the feedback I get from somebody else. It's not. I prefer it, but it's not predicated on that. So you can't take that away from me. When I've had no money at all and been massively unsuccessful and at my lowest points physically and emotionally and financially and everything else, I still thought unbelievably about myself. Okay. Because of the sources of my own self-esteem. And so I never get too high on myself or too low on myself, because it's not predicated on, what other people out there say or if they do business with you. So that's sort of my hater philosophy 101 in a 3, 4, 5 minute nutshell.
Right. Right. So before I let you go, I want to know if you have a favorite kindness story. We're moving away from the haters. We're back to the kindness again. Do you have a favorite kindness story, either something you've done or something that someone has done for you that just really mattered? It just, it felt good.
Sure. So I don't know if this isn't the story that happened to me, but I'll share with you something from my background and my tradition, which is something that I find to be kind of beautiful and motivating, right? So a lot of times we have an opportunity to give charity or do a favor for somebody or a kindness, or so sort of some like opportunity presents itself. So then we put on a pair of glasses. Like, is this going to be like a blessing and an opportunity? Like, is this a good thing, or is this a nuisance and an annoyance? The person who asked me, for something or what, so on and so forth. So within the Jewish tradition, this is a sort of like it's not a story, but it's like a teaching, that's in the Torah that I find to be like, maybe it helps me sometimes, right? Because I like to move fast, and I'm already helping a lot of people and so on and so forth. So like, it's hard sometimes to slow down and even do more. So it says in the Torah that sometimes it could be decreed in heaven that maybe a person is destined for a certain amount of problems or a certain challenge or a certain test or issue that's in the pipeline to come down your way. And you don't have enough good deeds, or we call them in Hebrew, schusim, merits in the bank to offset it, so on and so forth. So sometimes we believe that the Creator will actually give you an opportunity to do good or be kind or to be charitable or something in front of you. And it's almost like a little rescue boat opportunity that if you would grab it, it could be that you're able to basically earn for yourself a merit in the spot, which is going to basically, push away something else that was destined to come to you. If you don't view it as a nuisance and a challenge, and you grab that opportunity. So there's plenty of people who've been super kind to me in my life. Too many to mention. There have been people who've been very unkind to me. I'm not going to say if there's too many to mention, but, I've been on both sides of the fence. But I think the question becomes, what is the pair of glasses that we're going to wear, the lens by which we see the opportunities that come our way? Are we going to view them as positive things, look, you can't give money to everybody, to every charitable cause, to every organization. Maybe if you're a, I don't know, maybe if you're a Zuckerberg or a Bill Gates or something, maybe you can get closer to that. But, most of us can't. But the question becomes, what is the attitude that we carry towards those opportunities? And to me, that teaching is something that, hopefully gets us to, to select in one direction a little bit more than another. And it's something that I carry with me all the time.
I love it. Hey, I read somewhere that you are obsessed with adding value to people's lives and seeing them happy, fulfilled, and enjoying the success they've always craved. And I see that in you. Is there anything else you want to share with people, adding into that before we let you go?
I would just say that I'm a believer very much, Nicole, in what you and the kindness team is seeking to do. I know you're a very humble person, but I think you are a star and a superstar, and it's only a matter of time till more people understand what you're doing. We live in a world where everybody likes to talk about the negative and the bad news and the horrible things going on, and like, oh, the world's never been worse. But I think there's also things that have never been better before, and it's just very inspiring to me and your growing community when there's somebody of your talents and skill and ability and predilection and accomplishments who has found meaning in something that's positive, and is devoting so much of her life to basically spreading that and building a transformative movement. So that's what I would say. We're following your lead, Nicole.
I am going to absolutely just play that back again when I need to hear it, because that's amazing. So thank you for that. Sam, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you being on the Kindness Podcast with us.
Thank you for the gift. Thank you. Okay, bye.